Okay, welcome. Hey everybody, Luke Lango here,
Dr. Arvin here.
and this is a recording episode where we have a very special guest on our podcast, Zeeling Lee.
Hey, Ziling, welcome.
Hi everyone. Hi
Hi.
Arvin. Hi Luke.
Okay, so we actually for the longest time we've been meaning to have someone of Zeeling's position, on our podcast because we always have all kinds of influential and very knowledgeable people in their respective fields come onto our podcast and share their insights and answer some of the most probing questions that our community faces. And before I move on, I just want to make sure I am doing this right. It's pronounced Zeeling, right?
Zhiling.
Zhiling. Oh, okay.
That's got
Okay,
a that's got a twist on it.
yeah. Okay, all right. Now, can you explain to us or explain to the audience what the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian is, and who are the kinds of people that would see uh, each profession for? Because there's been a huge. I don't think so. People know like what exactly is the difference because they when people look at Dr. Arvin, they think that he's just a doctor, that he's a general practitioner. He just like treats on. And when people look at me, they think they hear physiotherapist and they think that they were just glorified masseuses. We just do massages. Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
explain it in a way where we explain our professionally lah, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in Malaysia, so whatever I'm explaining now, it's applicable in Malaysia mostly because in other countries they might have different definitions for nutritionists and dietitians. So in Malaysia itself, we have two different healthcare professionals that's both targeting nutrition of population. But for nutritionists, they are accredited healthcare professionals graduated from 4 years degree program that are able to provide nutrition advice, nutrition education to general population.
Okay.
So general population means population who would like to seek for better relationship with food, seek for better healthy habits building, or they want to look for example, they want to manage their cholesterol, and those are under nutritionist. Means general public education, nutrition education. For dietitian itself, their studies will be more clinically based. So dietitian, they are trained to provide meal plan and provide personalized medical nutrition therapy to patients. For example, chronic kidney disease patient, diabetic patient, those who are clinically diagnosed with some medical conditions that require medical nutrition therapy. So the biggest difference between nutritionist and dietitian in Malaysia is that nutritionists should not provide medical nutrition therapy to population, but dietitian, they can provide medical nutrition therapy to patients.
But can a dietitian do what a nutritionist does as well?
Most of the time, yes, our job scope is quite overlapping. We are trying to separate it into a way in a way where nutritionist is targeting community and then dietitian is targeting patients.
Yeah, because because I treat with I handle a lot of obesity patients, and you have to understand like obesity patients, they all come in a whole spectrum. You have those with comorbidities and those
Yes.
without comorbidities, and comorbidities means hypertension, diabetes, or something like that. And then there are those people who are like just straightforward excess calorie intake kind of obese people, right? But in the hospital setting, you deal with both. So I often refer them to a dietitian. So dietitian does handle people who don't have like other clinical disorders and people who just have regular like problems with food choices and those kind of things, right?
Yep.
So I guess in that sense, what Ziling is trying to say is, I guess a dietitian can do what a nutritionist does, but of course, in the setting of the hospital, I don't think you have enough time to handle the whole gen pop.
Yep.
And that's where the nutritionist comes in, I guess.
Correct. So, and also regarding nutrition policies and all that can be followed under nutritionist too.
I see.
Okay.
Mm.
So, like, okay, now you mentioned that nutritionists handle more, say, Gen Pop. and dietitians handle more special populations. But is there a ranking or a hierarchy in the nutritionist spectrum where you can sort of pursue a more advanced education to allow you to work with special population or athletic population? How does that work? Or is there such a thing? And how does that work?
Yeah, for other countries, they can, for people who graduated as nutritionists from 4-year degree, they can continue to pursue 2 more years of master degree to get their title of graduate dietitian. But in Malaysia, we don't have this system exist in
Mm,
Malaysia. So if nutritionists, they do want to have more insights and knowledge in clinical nutrition or clinical side, they can go for master in clinical nutrition. So that would help them to increase more exposure or increase more knowledge in clinical nutrition. And perhaps depends on the modules and courses, they might provide practical settings for those who went for master in clinical nutrition. So, but
mm.
that one we have to go back to the courses and see whether they provide that or not.
But from a legal standpoint, will there be any issue if a nutritionist actually provides advice to those who have like comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension? Like legally, will there or has there been an issue?
Legally, we really should not provide this medical nutrition therapy to people with patients because nutritionists and dietitians in Malaysia are trying really hard to delegate tasks to both of this community. So if nutritionist is stepping over to dietitians roles and job scope, then we might be facing this kind of legally probably we have this issue going on. So that's why we have been trying to juggle the job scope and trying to manage job scope for both of these population in order to cover and to help the general population, including those with specific conditions. So yeah, under our AHP, there are definitions for both nutritionists and dietitians as well.
Yeah, why I actually bring that up is because like if say someone who has a heart condition, right, and they're on blood thinners called warfarin, there are actually certain foods that you can't eat because of drug interaction.
Yeah.
So that is actually doesn't fall under the purview of a nutritionist simply because drug interactions are not part of what a nutritionist learns unless you learn it based on your own interest and so on. And that goes on for every other thing out there because like some like grapefruit and interaction to blood thinners, that is actually something that can be fatal. So if someone says, "Oh, grapefruit is actually healthy," in true sense, yeah, nutritionist
general population,
yeah, grapefruit is healthy. But if someone is on a coumarin-like drug, that can cause the person to bleed out. So these are things I think that is very important for us to know where our borders are. And I do agree that if someone who is a nutritionist goes on to educate themselves about this, and goes on and learns further, which is very, very possible because I feel like the line here is really gray,
correct.
But with experience, someone who's a dietitian sits in the hospital and deals with this on a daily basis. This is your daily in and outs compared to someone who's a nutritionist. And to be frank, not many people with disease conditions are going to come to nutritionists. Not the first person they look for, actually. And likewise, the other way around, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why I'm asking whether legally there will be an issue. That's why.
The AHP does have this definition included in the Act. So if this is going to be widely established, this particular Act, then it would be best for us to really not go for to step over each other's job scope lah.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, that was great. I love the explanation. So now that you've explained to us what the differences of each role is, now can we just maybe elaborate on your side a little bit more? Can you share a little about your background and your philosophy towards nutrition and wellness? Because just like every strength conditioning coach or every personal trainer would have a different approach to their clientele, to their demographic. We are interested to hear what your beliefs are, or at least what your philosophy behind what you do or why you do it.
All right. So right now, I am a nutritionist content creator. This is my day-to-day look like to create content, to create content that's easily available to the public, to educate them on practical and approachable nutrition tips and recipes. And through nutrition content creation, I do also do brand collaboration with brands to provide more nutrition education. And other than that, I'm also a health speaker in some of the events or corporate internal health talk, or for example, public event with brands also. So these are my day-to-day job look like. And regarding my philosophy about nutrition, the one thing that I couldn't stress enough is add, not restrict. It's very, very commonly um, commonly speak
Just
as
just
a
as you
commonly
say that,
spoken
it
within that
just
community lah.
brings me to people who just out become obviously dichotomous with everything that there is. It's a yes or no situation and never like a maybe situation. And I think Luke and I have like discussed this in tons and tons of why it's always it depends.
Yeah.
Correct. It depends. Correct.
Yeah.
Really,
So,
really.
so it's great. I mean, so you're also on team. It depends because of the context in which you get asked your questions.
All right.
I'm
If you can grow a beard, you can call it Machan already.
So I'm pretty sure you get asked a lot. Hey, is this good? Is that bad? Like, can I do this? It's like every time people always want to know the black and white answers, or what's more, I would say, frustrating is that when you try to get these individuals that ask you questions, when you try to get them to think for themselves, to come to the decisions themselves on what's best suited for them, they'd rather not go through the trouble of learning. They just want a straight answer. It's like they just want to answer from you, like, can I eat this or not? Is this
Mm.
good for me or is it not? And
Mm.
I'm pretty sure you get that a lot in your social media content when you post, like this generation, when you post about something, and the whole internet gets triggered. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah, it can be.
okay, all right.
And
Sorry.
and I would like to say I understand that why they want direct answer,
Mm,
because there are so many things happening in their life right now, and there are so many distractions. So by going for answer that gives them very, very clear pathway, like yes or no, it helps them to reduce their mental decision to do
mm.
more, to do more decisions on their daily life. I understand that, but it's just that nutrition does requires a lot of different decisions going through your life, it really depends, like what you all say,
I
depends.
mean, this goes down to the situation of like give a man a fish and teach a man how to fish, right? Yeah, because to what extent do we just give yes and no to every single thing that is out there, right? And if we continue to do that, at some point, this entire system will fall apart simply because there is no sustainability to that.
Mm.
Yeah, you know,
Mm.
because at every situation you are stuck with a yes and no and not a just moderate it and you'll be fine. You know, so
Yeah.
so therein lies the problem of just taking away the responsibility to make a decision. And I think, yes, like what Ziling says, it's actually a lot easier to not decide for yourself. Like you don't bear the responsibility of what you have decided. Instead, you let someone decide for you.
Mm.
But I don't think that's an endeavor that's going to pan out really well in the long term.
But I think that's why she creates the content she creates. It's because, like she said, she wants to help people reduce their decision fatigue. You know, to make sure that, okay, these people are equipped with the tools to uh, be able to make the decisions they want to make for their outcomes. But I think where Arvin and I are coming from is the annoyance of the little bit where people just ask questions, and then they don't pay for your service. They just ask questions.
Yeah, but do you get any pushback from that kind of content, Ziling? Like, do you get pushback from people when you give contents which are like an it depends kind of content?
So far, it depends. Particular answer, they are okay with it because usually I really take time to answer question. If that question itself requires a lot of explanation and nuances that I need to address. But there are people who came in and said, "Oh, this thing is bad. Why are you eating this? As a nutritionist, why are you eating this?" Something like that. So then I have to spend time to explain to them why we don't have to see this food as bad or what, and then why you don't have to be afraid of that particular anti-nutrients in your food, look at the whole picture. Do you eat this enough to have that anti-nutrients to work on your body?
Yeah.
I have to explain, spend time to explain it to them. Correct.
But at any point, do you like? Sorry to go off track a little bit, but at any point, do you feel like you get challenged by an authority figure? Not personally by the authority figure, but people who follow an authority figure. Like for instance, like I'm a doctor. I'm a specialist, right? So in this world we live in, I would outrank you because people think that, oh, a doctor sits on top of everybody else. More so when he's a consultant or a specialist, and his word is like the biblical truth, which we all know is not the truth. Because we all have our fields of expertise. I personally am not a nutritionist. If you see me making my content, I'll tell people I know the very basics. I know what is the okay things to do. But if you want anything further than that, you should ask someone who's actually spent and put their head into this almost all their life, you know. And I feel like someone like you who probably is making a lot of good content out there, do you feel like some people come up with you and say, no, this person said you can't take it, so why are you saying something that is totally on the opposite direction, or something that's really in the gray area? Do you get those kind of pushbacks?
So far I haven't had this very aggressive message yet. And if there is any aggressive message that came in, I'll go through the message and see whether they came in a way where they are very emotional. So if they are very emotional, then I won't spend time on their comment anymore, because you can't have a proper discussion with this person.
I guess. So please don't pitch anybody, because the whole horde will come fighting with you.
Okay.
So, but if they came in where they ask, why is this way? I'm curious about it. I want to know more. Then yes, we can have a proper discussion. We can even bring it to my inbox, and then we can discuss further. There are one or two person who came in this way, and then we were able to have a very educated discussion.
That is good. I like that.
I wish we had more of your followers.
Yeah.
Ours is a bit more. I don't know. Maybe there's less individuals that prefer to listen to the science behind lifting than there is when it comes to nutrition. Because sorry to say, we get meatheads, and you seem to get more of the better types. But anyway, let's move on to the next question, because we do need to get the ball rolling on the actual nutrition bits. So let's start with the first thing, which is the common myths that you come across in your line of work. What are some of the common myths about nutrition that you've encountered being a nutritionist, and how would you address them? We don't have to go through all the common myths, but maybe 3. Would you say 3?
Yeah, 3. 3. It's all on my fingertips. There are so many misinformation.
This is the whole list.
3. The first one, very common. Our body needs detoxification.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, so that's one of the very common myths happening around the wellness industry, where our body needs probably 5 days of plant juice cleansing to help our body get rid of toxins. So the toxins they are talking about is mainly so-called dirty food, like sugar, fat, or maybe some of the I'm not sure the chemicals that they said in the food. And these are the idea that they are trying to tell people that you can use 5 days of juice cleanse to help you to get rid of these so-called toxins. But when it comes to toxins, even if this particular material or ingredients, they do have certain toxicity, there are 2 different types of toxicity. We have acute toxicity, which requires medical urgency, medical address. We need to consider it. We need to consider it as medical emergency. So that will go back to doctor. We can't do that with plant juice cleanse. And then we have chronic toxicity. And most of the time, chronic toxicity can be tackled by managing your food intake, by managing your daily choices in long run. So a 5-day juice cleanse wouldn't be able to help you to solve this problem. That's just a 5-day juice cleanse.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, based on your what you've read, or what is the current research that's up to date with regards to these juice cleansers, has there been any study that show a significant a significant margin or evaluation to show that just 5 days improved any health markers in the individual?
5 days is really, really difficult. I don't think so, I didn't, to be honest, I didn't go deep into that. But 5 days juice cleanse, even if there is any improvement in health marker, it won't sustain because it's just a 5 day juice cleanse. People may feel better after a 5 day juice cleanse or 5 day of just eating fruits and vegetables by proof that detoxification protocols. But the feeling of body is feeling lighter or getting better is because one thing, they eat more fruits and vegetables. So that will help them to get more nutrients into their body, one thing. And another thing is by having these cleanse and detoxification protocols, it acts as a kind of elimination diet. So it helps them to reduce their intake or even get rid of some of the food that is high calories, high sugar, high fat. So that's why their body feel better, because they are reducing this food intake, and then they increase more of their nutrients intake. But in long run, it wouldn't help you. In long run, this is not sustainable. And second thing, 5 days juice cleanse is just, it does nothing to your long-term health. Correct.
Right. Very agreed. Okay, what would be the second myth then?
Second myth probably is one of the thing that maybe you guys have talked about, which is age and metabolism.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people thought that, oh, I'm older now, so I have slower metabolism already. So I even if I work out, there will be nothing much for me to improve. But there is one study that I think it's a review study, and they talk about our metabolism. It doesn't change that much after we reach our adulthood, and throughout the whole adulthood until age 60, our metabolism is almost quite stable. So after age 60, then yes, our metabolism might start to decline because of muscle loss, because probably some of the injuries that you get along the years that prevent you from staying active. So in between that years of adulthood, the illusion of slower metabolism is mostly because we have more and more commitments in our life. We have kids, we have day job, we have more family members to take care of. So that's why you have less time to stay active. You need to sit in front of your desk to work longer hours sitting, and those are the accumulated causes and factors of not being able to stay active. Yeah, so probably age is really not, you don't have to blame on your age on about your metabolism rate.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I agree definitely with that, especially it's like what the study mentioned is actually, I think, I'm not sure if it was the same study, but it did mention that how individuals that were still much further than their prime years were still able to put on muscle, lose fat, just as maybe not as efficiently as someone half their age, but the discrepancies was very close to each other. Okay, so then how about I ask another myth, whether you can tell us whether it's myth or truth. Superfoods are
Okay. I can understand why. Okay, superfood itself is a marketing term.
yes.
Yeah, to help people to recognize, oh, some food is more nutritious than the other food. So the fact itself, some food is more nutritious than some other food, it is true. But having the term of superfood might create another illusion of telling people that, oh, by eating only this food, you'll be able to be healthy. So the term itself can be quite misleading. Nothing too fatal, nothing too serious about superfood. It's just that people should not see superfood as the only food that they should go for. variety is key. And yes, those food that claimed as superfood, they are really much more nutritious than most of
Mm,
the other food. It's just that variety is key, and the amount that you go for is also important. And then how you combine different food together is also very important. And whether this so-called superfood is easily available in your lifestyle, in your life, in your proximity is also very important. So I would say superfood itself, maybe not, but it's just a term that people need to be aware of and to not just use that as the only thing that help them to get more nutrients. Yeah.
mm.
Mm.
Okay. All right. I like the answer. Very like explain. It explains towards like it's not a myth per se. Perhaps the claims that they make may be a myth. Like it says, if you eat this food, it can all but cure cancer. That
Yes.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
My
If
mother
they,
had a lot
yeah.
of those when I was young, bro.
yeah,
My
yeah.
mother had like, you eat this vegetable, this will cure this. You eat that
Uh,
vegetable, and all of it tasted horrible.
did you guys ever get like dengue once, and then like they said you drink papaya leaves, and then you can cure dengue?
Yeah, of course there was.
Yeah, yeah. I had dengue as a one time, and my mom just blended the papaya leaves behind my house, and she came to the hospital to give it to me. I just pretended to be asleep the whole time. Do you know how it tastes? It tastes like chlorophyll. It
Oh
tastes like
dear.
really strong chlorophyll, and I just like, all right, it's terrible. Okay, so that you're done with the common myths. Now, I think this next question will help a lot of our listeners and I myself also, because I find that this episode will be like the go-to episode. I will direct a lot of my clients or a lot of people on social media that will be asking these questions or have asked these questions, which is with the rise of the various diet trends, such as you have your keto, you have your intermittent fasting or restricted fasting, you have your paleo, vegans, what's the uh, what's the fish one again?
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian, yes, pescatarian, pescatarian, and all these other diet trends. So the common denominator I see amongst all of them, or at least when I get asked, is that people see, people say that, oh, I've lost X amount of weight on this particular diet. Uh, it's so good for you, it keeps you healthy, and a large amount of these individuals always attribute their success in weight loss to the diet itself. But maybe you can shed some light onto that. Arvin and I are of the same team, and same team that says that the diets are not superior. It's just the fact that when these individuals go on these diets, they, number one, they removed a particular food group which caused a caloric deficit. They exercised more, they slept better, and just all the things that would have been achieved on a regular diet. But I think what we're most interested to learn from you today is how these particular diet trends came about, and why are people, especially Malaysians, what diet trends are they following, and why would you think they are following into that direction?
Okay. I think Luke pretty much explained a lot of things already. Pretty much. So those are the factors that why some of these diet that seems very extreme, but it works for some people. It's because most of these diet, for example, keto or intermittent fasting or vegetarian, they make it easy for people to create calories deficit.
Mhm.
So that's one thing. Some people they can do low carbs or very extremely low carbs, which is keto diet, and that works for their body, and then it is sustainable for them. Then it helps them to make it easy to create calorie deficit. And okay, for keto diet itself, it's high fat, moderate protein intake, and low carbs intake. This diet is originally meant for medically supervised diet for children with epilepsy.
Correct.
Mm,
Yeah. So I'm not sure how people decided to go for keto diet. Because keto diet, one thing, it eliminates a lot the whole category of carbohydrates. So when you eliminate carbohydrates out of your body, you stop eating carbohydrates, your body also stop storing water. Because when you have carbohydrate in your body, our body will store it in the form of glycogen. And glycogen usually store with one unit of glycogen always store in 3 units of water. So once you stop eating carbohydrate, your body is very low in glycogen storage, and then your water in your body and your muscle will be lower also, because it just stops storing that 3 units of water together with
Yep.
glycogen. So that's why when you practice keto diet, the first week you see drastic weight loss. Probably that was one of the reasons you are losing some of the water from your body. And then it doesn't mean that, okay, keto diet itself, if you practice correctly, you are going for mostly polyunsaturated, monounsaturated fats, which is the healthy fat, and then you go for low carbs. But if it works for your body, if it helps you to eat healthier, it really probably works for you. But people can't just go around and tell people that, hey, it works for me. It should be able to work for you. So that's one thing about all this diet. A lot of people practice keto diet, intermittent fasting, and then realize that it works for them. It is super helpful. And then they go around and tell people, okay, this is good, this is good. They follow it religiously.
Mm.
Yeah. So that will become the problem, because people are promoting it in a way where they don't understand the other person's lifestyle preferences, resources, working schedule and all, and then forcing them to practice together so that you can experience the same health benefits as mine. But that's not true, because some people, for example, intermittent fasting, some people they can go for that because it just makes sense for them. They don't eat breakfast, so that is also kind of intermittent fasting for them already.
Yep.
And some people they really like the idea of having their food intake just within the 8 hours, and then stop eating the remaining 16 hours, and that helps them to clear out some of the decision. They don't have to make decision the 16 hours, the remaining 16 hours. Great for them. But not everyone can go for this kind of lifestyle or dietary pattern. So I think the problem about this diet is that if it works for you, great. But you don't go around and tell people it works for me. You should be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. It's at the end of the day, it's really a personal preference thing. We don't have an issue with people doing that. We only have an issue when you start telling other people misinformation about the diet that you're on. You know.
Correct. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
be really dogmatic about things actually.
and sometimes and this is the reason why podcasts like this exist. It's to actually educate individuals that uh, what is the right reason or way to go about a particular piece of information in regards to a diet. Truthfully, we don't blame these people because they don't know any better. um, if they did but they still decided to spread misinformation, then that's just really nothing we can do about that person. But
I mean,
that's
I have a follow-up question to that actually.
yeah.
See, the thing is, because with like ketogenic diet, a pescatarian diet, or whatever specific diets that are out there, it often puts restriction on what you can eat and what you can't eat, right? Now, I mean, you as a nutritionist, you probably have worked with a lot of people who probably, I'm not sure, have come to you with that kind of diet to ask you for advice, or you already have people who you advise to follow those kind of diets. I'm not sure about that. But being someone who eliminates like a certain food group and those kind of things, how does that affect them socially, actually?
Great question. Actually, a lot of people don't talk about this when it comes to practicing certain dietary pattern. It might affect their social life, because when we are Malaysian, so our food culture is filled with, for example, carbohydrate. So if you practice keto diet, you don't get to enjoy the same food as your friends and families. So that will start to affect your social life. And if that is something that you put if that is something that you prioritize, you should start to evaluate whether this works for you or not.
Mm.
Because some people, they may not prioritize social life. They are super happy with their life right now. They are happy that they are eating different food than the other person in their family. Great. Okay, because everyone, they don't prioritize social life as much as everyone else.
Mhm.
So once you start to feel like this is affecting your social life, this is affecting your mental health, then yes, you probably need to reevaluate your choice to see which kind of dietary pattern works for your life and help you to maybe eat in a moderate way, in a moderation. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, if you have health reasons to why you're practicing a particular dietary pattern, I think that's fair enough. But what I have experienced, especially my friends, like they actually have those who are following a particular diet. I think what I actually do appreciate about these people are is like they don't impose. What is that? What I mean by that is, if say you're going to eat in a place that is probably a bit heavily carved, for instance, and this person is following ketogenic diet, they're more like, it's okay, I'll come there, I will just eat what is it that I can, I will work around what I is there,
Mm,
and they're
mm,
not like, no, I don't want to go to this place just because it has carb, or I don't want to go to this place because it doesn't serve this so and so there. So like if you go to a barbecue place, unlikely you're going to have fish. And if someone who's a pescatarian, probably the person will be like, well, I'll probably eat the vegetables or the salad there for the day, and I will probably get my protein intake later on or something like
mm,
that.
mm,
So there
mm,
are those people, but again, when your diet becomes restrictive, I think these are things that you probably want to think about before you jump on the bandwagon on a diet. Because personally, I've been there. Not a particular diet, but being restrictive, like being, because I was a bodybuilder at one point.
mm.
So there were times where I used to pack my own meals and go to shops and those kind of things. And of course, if your family and friends understand what you're going through or the journey you're going through, it makes your life a lot easier. And you don't have to be, stuck up about that as well. Like, I don't want to eat in this place because it's not good for me, or blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And I think Luke also probably would have already experienced enough of this. And most of the time when I'm going to family events or things like that, is more like I will try to kind of blend myself into the area instead of being too fussy about what is there to eat. Or my mom cooks a meal, so I'll be, instead of saying, why did you cook this, I don't eat this, you know that, right? Yeah, those kind of things. So you become a menace in that way if you start putting your requirements ahead of everybody else's. Like the 6 people in the family, you're the only one who doesn't eat it. My mom's not going to cook a whole other meal just for me. So
Yep.
so those are, I think these are things that are probably needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay. All right. Ziling, do you have a time for just one more question before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll just end the recording with one final question. Uh, this is coming from your own perspective and your experience working in your line of work. What are some of the biggest challenges that you yourself have faced working with individuals when trying to improve their nutrition? And what are some of the things that you have done with them to help them overcome this?
Um, First thing, lack of knowledge is real.
Mm,
Even though the information is so easily available nowadays, lack of credible information is something that a lot of people face right now. They don't know where to get the credible information. They don't know which one to listen to. It is very confusing, I understand. Nutrition science is ever changing, so one day we talk about this, the other day we talk about the other things. So I think that's one of the challenge for most people. So one way to work around it is, of course, if possible, they would have to reach out to accredited healthcare professional to help them to filter those knowledge. Which knowledge is applicable to their lifestyle? Which knowledge is, something that's questionable?
mm, mm, mm.
Yes, so that's one of it. And there is another group of people where knowledge is not a problem. They know they have to eat fruits and vegetables. They know that they have to eat more whole grains.
Mm.
But maybe this group of people they tend to have all or nothing mindset. So that's another challenge.
Mm.
A lot of people is having this challenge.
Probably you could
If
add
it-
on that, Ziling. Could you like maybe like help us like delineate if someone was to listen to a nutritionist, right? If you're gonna say this person is considerably a good nutritionist, like say for
ah,
yourself, right? What are things that you would tell someone who's listening to any of these contents, right?
okay,
What are things that you say it's a red flag?
okay,
Yeah.
yep, good question. So to help you to identify if this person is giving out credible information, giving out gentle and empathetic nutrition advice or not, is that the first thing, this person should not be telling you certain group of food is bad or certain ingredients is bad. So if they ask you to eliminate the whole food group, I'm not talking about those vegetarian or vegan nutritionist or dietitian, because they do have their own reason to practice vegan and vegetarian. So I'm talking about those nutritionists who talk about general food intake. So if they ask you to eliminate a whole food group, eliminate some certain ingredients because of some fear mongering message, then yes, you might need to take their nutrition advice with a pinch of salt. Not saying that they didn't put out some good information, but if they are very inconsistent in their nutrition message and nutrition advice, then you need to question them. Why you are talking about this here, but you talk about the other things there. So inconsistency is also another red flag that you can see in some of these nutritionists or nutrition coach. And then, of course, if you can, you would like to check if they are check their credentials and background. First thing that they need to fulfill is that they graduated from universities that provide nutrition or dietetics course. So those people who only join for 3 days nutrition course, or 1 month nutrition course. I'm not saying that those courses is not providing credible nutrition information. It's just that with that short amount of time, they don't get to develop nutrition education skill that factor in different nuances and perspective.
You did mention earlier it was a 4-year program for a nutritionist, right?
Usually, yes, correct.
Wow. So that's 4 years of learning and someone compares it to a 3-day certification.
Yeah.
It's a very fair comparison.
Yeah. It's not that the 3-day nutrition education not providing the correct information. It's just that 3-day information can only give you like very, very superficial information. You don't get to develop nutrition education skill. You don't get to develop consultation skill. Yeah. So that's another thing to look out for. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like so what you mentioned accurately is that individuals that entertain these 3-day weekend courses or 1 month courses, it's very hard for them to develop the clinical reasoning skills that you would otherwise have developed from 4 years of education at your university. Yes, everyone should eat fruits, but why would someone in your situation maybe favor this over that? Those are the kind of questions that you would be asking rather than telling, right? So that's, I think, would be the difference. So that was great. I think a lot of our listeners, despite it being just a 40-minute episode, have gotten a much, much, much clearer distinction of profession, and more importantly, what it is that you do with your clients or with your demographic of uh, individuals that you work with. So before we wrap it up, can you let your listeners know where they can find you?
Yep. So if you would like to reach out to me, you can find me at YouTube, TikTok, Instagram with the
Okay.
handle of Ling_nutrition.
Okay. All right. So we'll definitely put your social media accounts in our caption. So I'll just get that from you later. But again, thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. And yeah, we will probably have maybe in the future we'll have a return episode. We'll never know. But
Probably
again,
yes,
thank you.
because there's just so much to cover. I think we just scraped the surface at this point.
Yeah, this is like a 3-day course over the weekend. That's how much we Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Have a
Vinay.
have a
Thank
great
you. Thank you.
day.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Lou.
good day.